Hi everyone, Charlene Ortiz here. Today I'm going to discuss the most popular nutrition plans that are out there today. And I just want to talk about the details and what they entail. And based on what you learn, you can decide which one you think is going to be the most appropriate one for you. In general, for the most part, I think that they can all be wonderful, healthy plans. I'm not really too pro or too anti most of these plans in general. I will discuss what is my least favorite, and I will discuss which one I like the most, and I'll talk about why. And so again, it can be really overwhelming knowing what the appropriate way is to eat nowadays, because there are so many conflicting ideas and so much conflicting information on what is the healthiest nutrition plan for us to eat, as a whole, as a population, as an individual, or what have you. And so that's why I wanted to do this video, so you guys can kind of see, okay, well, that's what this this plan is about. That's what that plan is about. And this one seems like it's probably going to be the best fit for me. And in general, all of these plans are probably going to be healthier than what the majority of the American population eats anyways. So if you adopt any of these nutrition plans, you're most likely going to start eating healthier than you already are if you don't practice any type of healthy nutrition eating right now. And so again, that's why I don't really, again, I'm not really anti any of these plans. But there is one that is my one of preference, and I'll talk about why that is the one of preference for me. So, okay, the first one I'm going to talk about is the vegan nutrition plan. And vegan diet is basically no animal products whatsoever. If it has any type of face on it at all, they absolutely will not eat it. That's no meat, no dairy, no fish. Many of them don't even eat honey from bees. And there's many reasons why people choose to live a vegan lifestyle. And I do say lifestyle because veganism really is a lifestyle for most people. I would say the number one reason why most people choose to be vegan is because of the ethical treatment of animals, where a lot of animals are abused and very mistreated in a lot of the commercial farming industries. And so after, a lot of information over the years was kind of, exposed to the public on how these animals were treated, many people decided that they wanted to go vegan because they didn't want to support those types of farming practices. And I'll talk a little bit more about that a little later. But anyway, that would be the main reason that most people go vegan. A true vegan is somebody, they also do not wear leather, they don't wear wool, they don't wear silk, like anything that comes from a living creature, any type of animal, they just don't want to support it and they don't want to have anything to do with it. The second reason is because obviously people that are vegan feel that it is the superior way to eat, and they feel it is the healthiest way to eat because it's basically what their mindset is that processed meats and dairy cause cancer and obesity, what have you. And so that would be the second main reason why a lot of people choose to go vegan. Probably the biggest question that everybody has when it comes to veganism: how do vegans get their protein? Well, there are plenty of sources of protein that you can get that don't come from any type of animal or dairy products. And that would be nuts, soy, tofu, beans, legumes. And so there's definitely a lot of different ways that you can get great sources of protein if you don't eat any animal products. And so, so again, those would be the two main reasons that people choose a vegan diet. Again, that would be for animal rights or animal ethical reasons, is because also because it is lower in fat. And in general, it will be lower in fat. And also, from their perspective, it will reduce your risk of cancer, heart disease, and all these different physical ailments that people suffer from, especially in the American population now. And so the next one would be vegetarian, which is very similar to vegan. The main difference with the vegetarian diet are vegetarians, many of them do eat dairy products. They will eat eggs, they will eat milk, they will eat cheese and yogurts. There are some vegetarians that only drink milk and they don't eat eggs, or what have you. There's also like in the vegan category, some people even go beyond that and will go to fruitarian, where all they eat is fruit. They don't even really eat vegetables or even nuts or anything like that, really. They just eat mainly fruit. So I would say that the vegan and the vegetarian diet are probably the most similar to each other in that category. But what's interesting about all of these diets, and I would say especially the vegan and the vegetarian, there's so many subcategories underneath those categories. There are vegans that do eat honey, and there are, again, people that just eat fruit. I mean, there's so many different subcategories of people that kind of alter these diet plans to be more specific to what their beliefs are, or to what their body type is, or what goals they might be trying to achieve. And so again, today I don't want to get into all the subcategories or anything like that, because this video would take forever if I did. But what I am going to do, and I'm going to do this for all of these nutrition plans, I'm going to put links in the description below on videos that I think are good, unbiased, educational videos on each of these diet plans, and why people choose to eat that way, and why people feel they are the better and the superior way to eat. So that way you can make a good, educated decision, like, okay, well, this is why I like this diet plan. It's going to be most appropriate for me. Again, whether it's for health or ethical reasons or both, whatever. That way you guys will have other resources that you can go to, that I just personally think are good educational resources. Because the thing with being a vegan or vegetarian, especially vegan, is that a lot of people can get very emotional when it comes to veganism. And so one thing that I have found is that it has been difficult for me to find unbiased opinions about the vegan diet, where people don't condemn other people for eating meat. And I prefer to find resources that are going to be more scientific. There's going to be more evidence behind it, and that's not going to be so emotional. Not that I'm not, that I don't support animal rights, and that I support, a lot of these horrible, unethical practices in the commercial farming industry. Not that I don't agree with them in that, but however, again, it is kind of hard to find unbiased, really good educational information on veganism, but it is out there. I mean, it definitely does exist. You just have to look for it. But anyway, I'm going to do that for you, and I'm going to find resources that I think are going to be from good sources, so you guys can learn, okay, that's what this is about. This is the evidence behind it, and this is why some people, or many people, have chosen this way of eating. And both of them are very, very healthy way to eat. Absolutely. Okay, the next would be the paleo diet. The paleo diet is short for Paleolithic, and Paleolithic meaning a time period in our human history, particularly the caveman period, where we went out and we hunted and we gathered, for our food. And in the paleo diet, the main thing about the paleo diet is that they don't eat grains or dairy or any type of starch in general. They eat mostly healthy fats, perhaps lean proteins. But they personally believe that it's really not natural for us to take in a lot of whole grain foods or dairies. What their belief system is that we just don't naturally have the digestive processes to break down these foods, because again, they're not foods that we've been eating, for thousands of years, or for however long our species has been in existence on this planet. What their argument is that grains and dairy were never a natural part of our diet until just fairly recent years, like maybe the last, I don't know, few hundred years or what have you. So that's what the paleo diet is. And the Atkins diet is a high protein and low carb. And with the Atkins diet, they promote eating lots of meats, cheeses, dairies, what have you, and really limiting your carbohydrate intake. Even certain fruits and vegetables, they will recommend that there's certain fruits and vegetables that you shouldn't be eating. Obviously, low on the breads, low on the pastas, stuff like that. But for the Atkins diet, they definitely push more again. The proteins and the fats. So with an Atkins diet, someone might have a meal that would be like a big steak and maybe just a tiny bit of vegetable and maybe just a tiny bit of some sort of a bean or something like that. So, but anyway, that's kind of the general behind the Atkins diet. The Mediterranean diet is a diet that is rich in fruits and vegetables, very high in fruits and vegetables. They do eat red meat, but their consumption of red meat is limited. And if they are going to eat meat, they eat mostly lean meats like poultry and fish. And with the ketogenic diet is more higher in healthy fat and lower in carbohydrates, and they also incorporate intermittent fasting, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. With the ketogenic diet, your meat consumption, or I'm sorry, your fat consumption may be anywhere from maybe 60 to 75%. Your protein consumption maybe 20 to 35%, or 25 to 35% or to 30%, and then your carb consumption would be 5%. So with the ketogenic diet, the carb consumption is consistently always going to be low. As far as the fats and the protein, some people will practice eating higher levels of healthy fats in the ketogenic diet, and some people will eat higher levels of protein, lean proteins in the ketogenic diet. So again, everyone's going to kind of cater whatever nutrition plan they choose based on what their goals are, what their needs are, and what they think is really the best. So, okay, first of all, I'll talk about what most of these diets have in common. What most of these diets have in common is that they all are against processed foods. And so I did a little bit experiment where I found different websites that promote these different nutrition plans. And for most of them, they sent me like a 5-day plan or a 7-day plan on how I can slowly start to wean myself off of sugars and processed foods and what have you, and start to slowly get into what that diet plan is. I mean, I didn't follow it. I just wanted to see what kind of information I would get. And what pretty much every single one of them said is cut out all the processed foods and increase your vegetable and your fruit intake. And so that was definitely across the board, kind of like a staple piece of advice that they all gave, which I personally think is excellent advice. I absolutely think that we should all be eating fruits and vegetables in an abundant amount because there's just so many different nutrients and vitamins and minerals. They're so nutrient dense, vegetables and fruits are. And so that's definitely something that I would absolutely agree with. As far as people that are concerned about the ethical treatment of animals, however, they don't want to give up meat, or they don't want to give up animal products, there are more ethical ways that you can eat animal products. You can find animal products where the beef is grass-fed, where the chicken is free-range, and where the animals live in a much more free, a much more ethical, and a much more natural environment, where they're not fed GMOs or they're not fed like a corn-based diet. And so there are certainly ways that you can eat meat in a much more ethical way. And there's some people that I've even heard that they even will raise their own chicken and use the eggs from their own chickens, and because they really want to make sure that those chickens are ethically treated and are healthy and they're fed the right way or what have you. And so the way that you would find more, there are definitely grocery stores that sell meat that is grass-fed, that is free range, where you can get products that, again, that you can feel more assured the animals were raised very in a much more ethical environment, and they lived, a good life, for the time period that they were living. And so again, if that's something that is a concern to you, which I think it should be to everybody, I mean, we want the animals that we're eating to be treated right and to be treated ethically. Whether you're a vegan and you're never going to eat the animal products, or you do want to eat animal products, but but you don't want the animals to come from any type of abusive environment. I think we should all definitely be aware and be conscious, of if we are consuming animal products, where do these products come from, and that they come from an ethically treated environment. And so, okay, so I'm going to talk about my least favorite one at first, and that would be the Atkins diet. It's been around for a while, and the Atkins diet has definitely, gotten a lot of criticism, since it's been around. And what I don't like about the Atkins diet so much is that, well, number one, they really limit the consumption of fruits and vegetables. And that's one thing that I think is a huge no-no. I certainly think that fruits and vegetables should definitely be, however much we want to eat. And in general, the likelihood that we'll ever eat so many fruits and vegetables that it'll actually be dangerous for us is pretty slim. And so, because I think most people, if they eat a bowl of strawberries, they'll probably be satisfied with that, and that they'll be good for a while, So I can't imagine that somebody would, by accident, eat too much fruits and vegetables. So that's why, again, I'm not crazy about the Atkins diet. And the Atkins diet doesn't focus as much on clean eating as the rest of these diets do. All of these diets really put a big focus on clean eating, where you're not eating as much processed foods and you're eating foods that are much fresher, where the Atkins diet doesn't really promote that as much. And again, it's just not a diet plan that I'm particularly crazy about. It's certainly not a diet plan I would ever recommend to anybody. There are people that, that do the Atkins diet, and, they seem to live a healthy lifestyle. They seem to be happy with it. But in general, it is my least favorite. It's certainly not a diet plan that I would recommend. My favorite one, personally, is the ketogenic diet, where you're eating more foods and healthier fat and less carbohydrates, and incorporating intermittent fasting. So the ketogenic diet, I would say, is more newer. There's not a whole lot of people that have heard of the ketogenic diet. So I'm going to discuss a little bit what it is. Okay, so with the ketogenic diet, usually what they'll incorporate is a method of eating called intermittent fasting. And there's different levels of intermittent fasting that you can do. I would say the most popular one is where people will eat for 8 hours and then they will fast for 16 hours. And that's just their lifestyle. They'll just pretty much eat like that every day. There are some people that will fast once or twice a week for 24-hour periods. There are some people that will fast for days at a time. I personally don't have that type of discipline. Some people will even do 12-12, where they're eating for 12, fasting for 12. And the basis behind the ketogenic diet is that when you are in a fasting state, your body is going to utilize your fat stores in the form of ketone bodies. Because your glycogen stores, they burn out fairly quickly. Our body will use our glycogen stores fairly quickly. However, our fat stores are certainly a preferable source of energy for the body, and it is certainly a much cleaner source of energy for the body as well. And so a lot of people have found the ketogenic diet to be very effective in helping to reduce their insulin levels, as well as helping to reduce their fat levels, because when your body goes into a state of ketosis, you are effectively now burning your body's fat stores. And it takes about 12 hours of not eating. And again, this really varies for everybody. It's going to vary a little bit for each person. But it takes about 12 hours for the body to really get into a state of ketosis, where the glycogen stores will start to wear out, and the body will start to transform your fat stores into ketone bodies that it can use as energy. Now, ketosis was something that for many years has been of much concern and was not recommended. But ketosis is not dangerous at all. Again, it is a healthy state to be in. But that's why people will intermittently fast, where they just will do it for periods at a time and not, stop eating, for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or what have you. Because what can happen is that your body can go into a state of ketoacidosis. And the state of ketoacidosis is actually what causes a lot of diabetics to go into a diabetic coma and could even die. And so ketoacidosis is very, very bad. So that's why a lot of doctors or a lot of experts have warned against being in a state of ketosis, just in fear that it could progress to a state of ketoacidosis. But again, if you're fasting, for 16 hours and then you start eating after 16 hours, your body, that's not long enough for your body to get, it's not even close to long enough for your body to get to a state of ketoacidosis. So as long as you follow a good, healthy, intermittent fasting plan, you don't have to worry about going into ketoacidosis. Now, for those of you that do suffer from hyperglycemia or from hypoglycemia or diabetes or what have you, I would definitely check with your doctor if you have any type of condition, that with as far as regulating insulin or what have you. I mean, absolutely check with your doctor and talk to a professional before you decide to go on to, well, really any of these nutrition plans, if you do have any specific ailments that you need to consider, when it comes to your body's own particular metabolism. Now, for me personally, I have been doing more of a ketogenic diet lately, and I have really liked the results that I've seen with the ketogenic diet. Now, I personally am not trying to lose fat. So I will eat a little bit higher amount of carbohydrates, and also my blood sugars are very healthy. I've never suffered from diabetes, even though I only have part of my pancreas. My insulin production is very healthy, and so I personally do eat a little bit higher level of carbohydrates. But one thing that I do want to mention now, since I'm on the topic of nutrition, is that oftentimes people will ask me, well, Charlene, how do you eat? What is your diet plan like? Or what do you specifically eat every day? One reason that I don't really talk about how I specifically eat is because part of my digestive system is gone. Because I had a pancreatic tumor when I was 11, and part of my pancreas, my gallbladder, portion of my small intestine, and a portion of my large intestine have been removed. And so I don't make as much lipase as the average person. So my body doesn't break down fat the same way as other people. And so I'm a very unique situation than the majority of the population. I mean, there are days when I will just drink smoothies, again, because my digestion just, is kind of off track. I'm not feeling too great. And I can personally live off of I guess a more unique calorie restricted diet and do very well, and where most people could never do that. And so for me personally, I've always done better with a diet that's a little bit higher in carbohydrates, again, because I don't have as much lipase production anymore. And so I just break down carbohydrates a lot easier. But the way that I specifically eat, I probably would not recommend to somebody who's actually trying to lose weight. And again, like I said, I don't know how many people have had part of their digestive system removed, not many. And so I'm a very unique case. And not that I'm reluctant to discuss what my eating habits are in terms of what I specifically eat in a day. I'm certainly I'm happy to share that, but I just wouldn't necessarily want people, depending on what their goals are, to follow exactly what I do, because again, I'm a very, very unique case. And so, okay, well, anyway, so that is why I personally like the ketogenic diet. Another thing I like about the ketogenic diet, it's also very versatile. You can actually practice any of these nutrition plans, and you can make them into a ketogenic diet. And so say you're a vegan and you do want to do more of a ketogenic diet, you can absolutely do a ketogenic diet just by eating foods that are high in healthy fats like avocados, coconut oils, certain nuts, and as well as, well, actually not eggs, vegans don't eat eggs. But there's certainly a lot of sources of healthy fats that you can get in a vegan diet, and you can certainly do intermittent fasting with a vegan or vegetarian. Paleo, or the Mediterranean. With the Atkins diet, it's another thing I don't like about the Atkins diet is that they encourage you to eat in small intermittent meals throughout the day, which has been the general advice that we've all been getting for a really long time. But new research is showing that intermittent fasting, not only is it an excellent way, to burn body fat and to lose weight, it also has a lot of health benefits because when you give because when your body is digesting food, that takes a tremendous amount of energy for your body to digest food. And so, like, for example, have you ever eaten a big meal, then you went out and played basketball or went running or what have you, and you started to get cramping? That's because when you eat, all your blood will start to go to your organs, to your digestive organs, to aid in the digestive process. If you start doing any type of physical activity like running or what have you, your body has to take that blood away now and distribute it to your heart and to your lungs in order to give you the ability to keep up that level of activity. And because of that lack of blood, your body, you'll feel cramping, or that lack of fluid, because whenever, a lot of times when we feel cramping is because we're dehydrated, there's a lack of fluid. Not all the times, but a lot of times that'd be the case. So anyway, it does take a lot of effort, a lot of energy for your body to digest food. And if you do intermittent fasting, like say you do a 24-hour fast where you just drink, that's all, you just drink liquids and that's it, it gives your body a break from that digestion. And if you're someone who suffers from any type of chronic illness like I do, fibromyalgia, then that gives your body the energy to counteract that chronic illness, and thus giving it more energy to get you into a state of homeostasis. And so, but again, for me personally, I can't do a 24-hour fast. I start to feel lightheaded, and also even naturopathic doctors that I've spoken to that are very pro intermittent fasting have even recommended to me that I personally should not do a 24-hour fast. But again, that's just me. There might be some of you out there that can do it. And but again, it's just something that you do maybe once or twice a week. It's not something that you're doing too consistently or for too long periods of time, because again, you don't want to go into a state of ketoacidosis. So okay guys, so what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to put a link for information that you can go to for each of these diet plans. All of these diet plans except for the Atkins diet, I think are wonderful and healthy ways to eat. And so whichever diet plan you think is best for you based on the research that you do on your own and based on your lifestyle and your health, even your budget, certainly all of these, aside from the Atkins diet, I think are really great ways to go. And I think for most people, it's going to improve your eating habits because they all advocate, more fruits and vegetables, no processed foods in your diet. So when it comes to some of the recommendations that I made today in terms of eating like free-range meats or grass-fed meats, one of the challenges for making those choices is that it's more expensive. And I am going to do a video in the next week or two on how to eat healthy when you're broke. Not on a budget, but when you're broke. Because I know that it's incredibly challenging when you're financially really strapped to think about eating healthy and to think about buying organic, to think about buying more grass-fed, because it's just a lot more expensive. And sometimes the bottom line is we just simply can't afford it. And I completely understand what it's like to be in that place. You want to eat healthy, you want to start eating cleaner, you want to incorporate better foods into your lifestyle, into your diet, but you simply just don't have the money. And the unhealthier foods can certainly be a lot more affordable, number one. Number two, people that are broke also tend to be a lot more tired. And I say that because often they are people that work blue-collar jobs. Like my husband works in construction. My mom was a single mom when we were growing up, and she cleaned houses. And so they're typically jobs that are more physical labor. And you're just exhausted. And usually, although again, what we eat is very important, when we get home, we just want something that's quick and that's going to be easy and that's just going to feed us. because we're so hungry, we're so exhausted. And so when it comes to eating healthy, there really are so many factors involved in order to achieve that and to really be successful at it. So one thing that I want to do with this channel when it comes to nutrition, in the same way with the exercise, I really want to cater to disabilities and people with limitations. Well, and the same with nutrition too, but I really want to cater to people who are very financially strapped, who are really are struggling financially. I really want to cater to that population too, and give you some really good ideas and ways that you can eat healthy when you are broke. And the reason I say broke as opposed to on a budget is because people interpret that differently. And just like, for example, with my YouTube channel, I'm always trying to find expensive ways that I can make my, inexpensive ways that I can make my videos better, more high quality. Like one example is I really want to get a microphone, but they're kind of expensive. And when I'll go on videos to find, equipment that you can get like on a budget, often the presenter, of the equipment in the video will say, oh, here's a great microphone, or here's a great camera, here's great lighting that you can get, and it's only $150. And for me, I was like, whoa, that's not on a budget, like I need like broke. Like, what can I do, when you're totally broke, but you still want to, get certain things or incorporate certain things into your lifestyle. So again, that's why I use the word broke, because there are many of us out there that really are broke, and we do need a lot more help, a lot more guidance, and there's just not a lot of great information out there on how to eat healthy. Also, when it comes to a lot of these nutrition plans, a lot of vegans will say that the vegan way is definitely the way to go because it reduces cancer. The paleo diet people will say the same thing because it reduces insulin and diabetes. So every different diet plan and the people that advocate for it, will have their argument on why it's superior. But the challenge with that is that there are so many other different factors that come into play, like in terms of like that person's activity level, what's their stress level like, what type of environment do they live in. So there's really a lot of different factors that are involved in order to concretely say this is absolutely the best way no matter what. It's really difficult to say that because, again, when you get a population of people, there's just going to be too many different factors. And I think I mentioned in the last video, like my grandpa, he's going to be 98, and he's eaten very high fat meats and dairies and cheeses and ice cream, and he's eaten quite unhealthy his whole life, and he's incredibly healthy and has absolutely no health problems. And so I'm not saying, go ahead and follow that eating plan and you'll be fine. That's not what I'm encouraging at all. But my point is that there are a lot of diet plans are going to be more beneficial for certain people or certain populations. So, okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And I hope this really helps to clear up a lot of confusion that's out there in terms of what nutrition plan is the best nutrition plan for you. And I hope it answers any questions that you have in terms of incorporating a healthy diet into your lifestyle. So if you have any questions, please definitely comment below, and I will be sure. I really do try to reply to every single comment, especially now my channel's pretty small, so I'm able to do that. So I really do try to reply to any questions or comments, and I really do try to take on special requests if there are specific topics that you would like for me to do a video on. So, okay guys, so again, I will provide a link in the description below on more information for each of these diet plans. And I highly recommend that you do take the time to do your own research so that you can decide which plan is going to be more appropriate for you. Okay guys, once again, thank you so much for your time and attention. I always appreciate it. Remember, take care of yourself. Protect yourself physically and emotionally. And don't forget, your health is your most valuable asset. Invest in it. Bye-bye.